Have you ever found yourself staring at a really long number, just wondering if there was a shortcut? Some kind of mathematical hack to figure out what it's divisible by without, actually doing the math? Well, today, that's exactly what we're doing. We are unlocking the secrets of divisibility rules. Think of them as cheat codes for numbers. So, let's kick things off with a little pop quiz. Time's up. So, did you get it? Now, you could try to tackle that with long division, but let's be honest, who has the time for that? This is precisely why divisibility rules are so amazing. They're the shortcuts that let you see the hidden patterns inside the numbers. But before we jump into all the cool hacks, we've got to make sure we understand the basic rule of the game. So let's just take a second to get on the same page about what divisible by actually means.
It's really that simple. A number is divisible by another if you get a nice, clean, whole number as the answer. No fractions, no decimals, no remainders. So for example, 14 divided by 7 is 2. Perfect. But 15 divided by 7, that's going to leave a remainder. So with these rules, our goal is to find that clean, whole number answer every time. That's the target.
All right, let's ease into it. We're starting with level 1, the easy wins. These are the rules that are so simple, you only have to look at the very last digit of a number. These are your confidence builders. First up, the rule for 2. It's a classic for a reason. All you have to do is look at the last digit. Is it even? If it ends in a 0, 2, 4, 6, or 8, then the whole number, I don't care how long it is divisible by 2. Simple as that. The rule for 5 is just as easy. You just glance at the end of the number. Does it end in a 0 or a 5? If the answer is yes, then it's divisible by 5. Done. You can spot these from a mile away. And finishing up our easy wins, we have the rule for 10, which might just be the easiest one of all. If a number ends in a 0, it's divisible by 10. Period. See? Sometimes the most powerful tricks are the most simple ones. Okay, time to level up. Now we're getting into a set of rules that are a little more involved, but honestly, they're so elegant. They do require a tiny bit of addition, but they show off this beautiful hidden pattern in our whole number system. So here's where things get really cool. For the number 3, you totally ignore how big the number is. Instead, you just add up all its individual digits. So for 381, we do 3 plus 8 plus 1, which gives us 12. And hey, we all know 12 is divisible by 3, right? Well, that means the original number, 381, is 2. How neat is that? And get this, the rule can be repeated. Let's say you have a massive number, like 99,996. You add it all up and you get 42. Now, if you're not sure about 42, just do the trick again. 4 plus 2 is 6, and since 6 is obviously divisible by 3, then 42 is, which means our giant original number is 2. It's this awesome way to just keep simplifying things down. And here is the best part. If you just mastered the rule for 3, guess what? You've already mastered the rule for 9. It's literally the same exact process. You add up the digits, but this time, you just check if that sum is divisible by 9 instead of 3. Let's try it. Take 1,629. You add up 1, 6, 2, and 9, and you get 18. We know 18 is divisible by 9. And just like with the rule for 3, if you somehow blanked on 18, you can just add its digits. 1 plus 8 is 9. It works like a charm. All right, now that we have our basic building blocks, we can start putting them together. Welcome to level 3, the combo moves. This is where you start to feel like a real math wizard, because you can use the rules you already know to create brand new ones. The key idea here is something called factors. Now, factors are just the smaller numbers you multiply to get a bigger one. And the rule is kind of like a chain reaction. If a number is divisible by, let's say, 6, it absolutely has to be divisible by the numbers that multiply to make 6. This brings us to the rule for 6. For a number to be divisible by 6, it has to pass a 2-part test. It's a combo. First, it has to pass the rule for 2, meaning it must be an even number. And second, it has to pass the rule for 3, meaning its digits add up to a multiple of 3. You got to check both boxes. And why those two specific rules? Well, it's all about the prime factors. What do you multiply to get 6? 2 times 3. So the rules for 2 and 3 have to apply. This combo logic is a super powerful tool for figuring out even more rules. So let's round out our toolkit with just a couple more really useful tricks that build on these same ideas, looking at digits and combining those factors. Okay, the rule for 4 is basically a level up from the rule for 2. Instead of just looking at the last digit, you look at the number formed by the last 2 digits. So if you have a huge number like 40,832, you can just ignore all the stuff at the beginning and focus on the 32. Is 32 divisible by 4? Yes, it is. So that means the entire number is 2. And now we can use that new rule to make another combo. Check this out. For a number to be divisible by 12, it has to pass the rule for 3 and the rule for 4. And why? Because 3 times 4 is 12. You see the pattern here? Once you know the basics, you can start building your own rules. So look, these are all really cool party tricks, but what's the actual point? Why should you turn these little math hacks into actual mental habits? Well, for one, they make simplifying fractions so much easier. They help you break down huge numbers in your head, which is super useful for algebra or even just estimating things in daily life. And yeah, let's be real, they are an absolute secret weapon when you're on a math test and the clock is ticking. I think this quote from Wikipedia just says it all perfectly. It's a shorthand. It's about being efficient. It's about really understanding how numbers work, not just plugging them into a calculator. These rules are just an elegant shortcut that saves you time and builds your intuition. So we've covered a ton of ground. We've got these awesome, simple tools for most of the numbers you'll run into, but you may have noticed there's one famous number missing from our list. What about 7? Why didn't we cover a rule for 7? Well, the truth is, a rule for 7 times does exist, but it's so famously complicated that most of the time it's actually faster to just do the division. It's become a bit of a mathematical puzzle in its own right, and it's a really cool challenge for anyone who wants to take their learning to the next level. So are you ready to look it up and try to solve it?